Welcome back to Health with Dr. D. Miller. Let me ask you something. Did you pour yourself a glass of milk this morning because you've always believed it was one of the healthiest things you could drink? Maybe you've been doing it for years, maybe even decades. A glass with breakfast, a splash in your coffee, a warm cup before bed. For many Nutrients, milk has always been associated with strength, healthy bones, and good nutrition. It is one of those habits that feels so normal, so familiar, that most people never stop to question it. But what if I told you that the milk sitting in your refrigerator right now might not be helping your body the way you think it is? And what if I told you that for some adults over the age of 50, that daily glass of milk could quietly be placing extra stress on their kidneys without causing any obvious warning signs? Now, before you panic or rush to throw anything away, stay with me for a moment. Because today's conversation is not about fear, it is about awareness. It is about understanding how small daily choices can have a bigger impact on your health than most people realize. You see, one of the most challenging things about kidney problems is that they often develop quietly. Unlike a toothache that immediately gets your attention or a broken bone that forces you to seek help, declining kidney function can happen slowly over many years. At first, everything seems normal. You go about your daily life, you eat the same foods, you drink the same beverages, you follow the routines. Then one day, during a routine checkup, your doctor mentions something unexpected. Your creatinine level is higher than before. Your kidney function is slightly lower than last year. Your blood pressure is becoming harder to control. Or perhaps your ankles seem more swollen than they used to be. Maybe you're waking up more frequently during the night to use the bathroom. Maybe you're feeling more tired than usual and can't quite explain why. And suddenly, a question begins to form. Could something in my everyday routine be contributing to this? Over the past nearly 14 years working with adults concerned about kidney health, I've had countless conversations with people who were genuinely surprised by how much their daily habits mattered. Not because they were doing something extreme, not because they were intentionally harming their health, but because certain habits had simply become automatic. One of those habits was drinking the same type of milk every single day without ever looking at what was actually inside it. The truth is, when we are younger and our kidneys are healthy and strong, the body can usually handle a wider range of foods and beverages without much difficulty. But as we age, things change. Our kidneys may not filter as efficiently as they once did. Blood pressure may become more difficult to manage. Blood sugar may require closer attention. And suddenly, choices that once seemed insignificant begin carrying a little more weight. Think of your kidneys like the filtration system in a home that has been working faithfully for decades. Year after year, day after day, never taking a vacation, never calling in sick, just quietly doing their job. Eventually, even the best filtration system experiences wear and tear. That doesn't mean it stops working. It simply means it may benefit from a lighter workload. And that's exactly why the type of milk you choose can matter more than you think. Now, let me be very clear about something. No milk is a miracle cure. No beverage can magically reverse kidney disease overnight. And no single food determines your future health by itself. But small decisions repeated consistently over months and years can absolutely influence the amount of stress placed on your body. That's why in today's video, I'm going to share 3 types of milk that may be gentler on aging kidneys and explain why more people over 50 are beginning to pay attention to what's in their morning glass. And I encourage you to stay with me until the very end. Because the number one choice on today's list is not the milk most people expect. In fact, when many of my patients first hear about it, they're often surprised. Some are even skeptical, but after learning what's actually inside these different options and understanding how they may affect phosphorus, potassium, sodium, and overall kidney workload, many begin looking at their daily routine in a completely different way. So before you pour your next glass of milk, let's take a closer look at what your kidneys may be trying to tell you. Before we talk about the 3 milk choices that may be easier on aging kidneys, there is something important you need to understand first. Why does milk matter at all? After all, milk is just a drink, right? How much difference could one glass each morning really make? The answer may surprise you. Because when it comes to kidney health, it is often the small things we repeat every day that have the biggest impact over time. Think about it this way. If you carry a heavy grocery bag once, your arm probably won't notice. But if you carry that same bag every day, every week, every month, and every year, eventually the strain begins to add up. The kidneys work in a similar way. Every day, they filter waste products, balance minerals, regulate fluids, help control blood pressure, and perform hundreds of tasks that most people never think about. In fact, your kidneys work around the clock, even while you sleep. And unlike many organs in the body, they rarely complain when something starts going wrong. That is why kidney problems are often called a silent condition. Many people feel completely normal while their kidney function is gradually declining. There is no alarm bell, no flashing warning light, no sudden pain telling you something needs attention. Instead, the signs are often subtle. Maybe you feel more tired than usual. Maybe your shoes feel tighter around your ankles at the end of the day. Maybe you wake up 2 or 3 times every night to use the bathroom. Maybe your blood pressure seems harder to control, even though you're taking the same medication. Perhaps your doctor mentions that your creatinine level has increased slightly since your last visit. Or maybe you hear a phrase that catches your attention. We need to keep an eye on your kidney function. For many people, that moment comes as a surprise. Because they don't feel sick. They don't feel like anything is wrong. Yet their kidneys may already be working harder than they should. Now here's where milk enters the conversation. Traditional cow's milk contains several nutrients that are valuable for healthy individuals. But for some older adults, especially those who have reduced kidney function, certain components of milk may become more difficult for the body to manage. 3 of the biggest ones are phosphorus, potassium, and protein. You don't need to memorize complicated medical terms to understand why these matter. Just imagine your kidneys as a hard-working team responsible for maintaining balance inside your body. Every time you eat or drink something, that team receives another task, another package to sort, another item to process. When the kidneys are healthy and strong, they usually handle those tasks very well. But as kidney function declines, the workload becomes more challenging. Excess phosphorus may begin building up in the bloodstream. Potassium levels may become harder to regulate. Waste products created from protein metabolism may require additional filtering. And little by little, the kidneys are asked to do more with less capacity. This doesn't mean milk is bad, and it certainly doesn't mean everyone should stop drinking it. What it does mean is that the type of milk you choose becomes increasingly important as you get older. Because not all milks are created equal. Some contain significantly lower amounts of the minerals that aging kidneys often struggle to manage. Others may offer benefits that many people never realize exist. And that's exactly why the next few minutes may change the way you shop for milk forever. Because the first option on today's list is one that many people walk past in the grocery store without ever considering. Yet it may be one of the gentlest choices for people who are watching their kidney health more carefully. Let's start with number 3. Number 3 on our list is a milk that many people overlook. In fact, if I were to walk into a grocery store with 10 adults over the age of 50 and ask them to point to the healthiest milk for aging kidneys, most of them probably wouldn't choose this one. They would walk right past it. I'm talking about unsweetened cashew milk. Now I know what some of you may be thinking. Cashews? Really? How could milk made from nuts possibly be better for kidney health than traditional dairy milk? That is a fair question. And the answer has less to do with where the milk comes from and more to do with what is actually inside the carton. You see, when we talk about protecting kidney health, we are not looking for a miracle food. We are looking for ways to reduce unnecessary workload. We are looking for choices that may help aging kidneys do their job a little more comfortably. And this is where unsweetened cashew milk begins to stand out. One reason is phosphorus. Now, phosphorus is not a bad thing. Your body needs it. Your bones need it. Your cells need it. The problem begins when the kidneys have difficulty removing excess amounts from the bloodstream. As kidney function declines, phosphorus can slowly start building up. And when that happens, the body may struggle to maintain balance. Over time, this can affect bone health, blood vessels, and overall well-being. Many traditional dairy products contain relatively high amounts of phosphorus. Unsweetened cashew milk is often much lower. Think of it like this. Imagine your kidneys are carrying boxes up a staircase every day. A heavier box requires more effort. A lighter box still requires work, but it may be easier to manage. For many people, choosing a lower phosphorus beverage is like handing their kidneys a lighter box. But phosphorus is only part of the story. The next thing we need to talk about is potassium. This mineral plays an important role in muscle function and heart rhythm. Healthy kidneys do a remarkable job keeping potassium levels within a safe range. However, when kidney function becomes impaired, excess potassium may begin accumulating in the blood. And unlike some health issues that cause obvious symptoms, high potassium can sometimes develop quietly. Many people don't realize there is a problem until blood work reveals it. This is one reason doctors often encourage people with kidney concerns to pay closer attention to the foods and beverages they consume regularly. Unsweetened cashew milk is often lower in potassium than traditional cow's milk. That doesn't automatically make it perfect for everyone, but it may make it easier for some individuals to manage their overall mineral intake throughout the day. And then there is sodium. One of the biggest challenges facing older adults today is high blood pressure. I see it all the time. Someone tells me their blood pressure used to be normal. Then little by little, the numbers started creeping higher. A medication was added, then another. Yet the readings still aren't where they should be. What many people don't realize is that sodium can influence fluid retention and blood pressure more than they think. Excess sodium encourages the body to hold on to water. That extra fluid places additional strain on blood vessels, the heart, and the kidneys. Many unsweetened cashew milk products are naturally low in sodium, making them a potentially gentler choice compared with other options. There is another benefit worth mentioning. Cashew milk often contains healthy unsaturated fats instead of the higher saturated fat levels found in some dairy products. Why does this matter? Because kidney health and heart health are closely connected. When blood vessels remain healthier, circulation improves. When circulation improves, the kidneys receive better support. It's like maintaining the roads that deliver supplies to an important city. Better roads help everything function more smoothly. Now, before you rush out and buy the first carton you see, there is something extremely important you need to know. Not all cashew milk is created equal. This may actually be the most important lesson in today's video. Many manufacturers add ingredients designed to improve taste, texture, shelf life, or nutritional marketing claims. Some products contain phosphate additives hidden within the ingredient list. Others contain added sugars that may not be ideal for people trying to manage blood sugar levels. That's why I always encourage people to turn the carton around and read the label. Don't trust the front. The front is advertising. The back is information. Look for unsweetened varieties, look for simple ingredients, and pay attention to anything containing the word phosphate. Because sometimes the healthiest looking carton on the shelf is not necessarily the best choice for aging kidneys. And if you think this option sounds surprisingly kidney-friendly, wait until you hear about the next milk on our list. Because number 2 may be even gentler than most people expect. Now let's move to number 2 on our list. And this is where many people start getting surprised. Because when most Americans think about alternatives to cow's milk, they usually think about almond milk, oat milk, or soy milk. Very few people immediately think about rice milk. In fact, many people walk past it in the grocery store without giving it a second thought. But for older adults who are paying closer attention to kidney health, unsweetened rice milk may deserve a closer look. The reason is actually quite simple. Rice milk is often one of the lightest options when it comes to certain minerals that aging kidneys sometimes struggle to manage. And remember, the goal here isn't to find a miracle drink. The goal is to reduce unnecessary stress on an organ that may already be working harder than it used to. Let me tell you about one of my patients, a retired gentleman named Robert. A few years ago, Robert came to his appointment frustrated. His kidney numbers weren't terrible, but they weren't improving either. His blood pressure was creeping upward, his ankles were swelling by evening, and despite trying to eat healthier, he couldn't understand why his doctor kept emphasizing the importance of reading nutrition labels. One day, he finally asked me something. "Dr. Miller, does it really matter what I drink? It's just a glass of milk." And that's exactly what many people believe. But what Robert eventually discovered was that the little choices repeated every day often matter more than the occasional unhealthy meal. A birthday cake once a year probably isn't the problem. A daily habit repeated hundreds of times every year can have a much bigger impact. This is where unsweetened rice milk becomes interesting. Compared to traditional dairy milk, it is often lower in phosphorus. And if you've been following along so far, you already know why that matters. When phosphorus builds up in the bloodstream, it can create challenges for both bone health and kidney function. Think about your body like a carefully balanced financial budget. When everything is in balance, life feels manageable. But when expenses start exceeding income, problems begin appearing. The same thing can happen when the kidneys struggle to maintain mineral balance. Over time, excess phosphorus can contribute to complications that nobody wants to deal with later in life. Rice milk may help reduce part of that burden. Then we come to potassium. This is another mineral that often enters the conversation when discussing kidney health. Potassium is essential for normal body function. Your muscles need it, your nerves need it, your heart depends on it, but balance is everything. Too little is a problem. Too much can also become a problem. For people with reduced kidney function, maintaining that balance may become more difficult over time. Many unsweetened rice milk products contain lower amounts of potassium compared with traditional dairy milk. That doesn't mean someone should consume unlimited amounts, but it may provide another option for individuals who are trying to manage their overall intake more carefully. And there is something else many older adults appreciate. Rice milk is often very gentle and easy to drink. Some people find it easier on digestion. Others enjoy its naturally mild flavor. For someone who has spent years drinking dairy but wants to explore alternatives, it can feel like an easy transition. Now let's talk briefly about protein. This is where things become a little more personal. Not everyone with kidney concerns needs the same amount of protein. In fact, protein recommendations can vary significantly depending on individual health conditions and medical guidance. However, for some people who are not on dialysis and have been advised to moderate protein intake, rice milk's naturally lower protein content may be beneficial. Imagine an aging filter that has been working faithfully for decades. Every time protein is metabolized, waste products must be filtered and processed. A lower protein beverage may reduce part of that daily workload. But before you rush out and fill your shopping cart, there is an important warning. Not all rice milk products are created equal. Some contain significant amounts of added sugar. Others are heavily fortified with ingredients that may not be ideal for certain individuals managing kidney concerns. That is why reading labels remains one of the most powerful habits you can develop. The healthiest choice is often the simplest one. Look for unsweetened varieties. Look for shorter ingredient lists. And pay attention to additives that contain phosphate compounds. Because sometimes the biggest difference between a good choice and a poor choice is hidden in the fine print that most shoppers never read. Now, if you think rice milk sounds surprisingly kidney-friendly, wait until you hear about the #1 choice on today's list. Because this final option offers something unique that neither cashew milk nor rice milk can provide. And for many older adults, it may become the most interesting discovery of the entire video. And now we've arrived at the #1 milk on today's list. This is the choice that surprises most people. In fact, when I first mention it to many older adults, I often get the same reaction: a raised eyebrow, a confused look, and sometimes a simple question. Dr. Miller, I've never even heard of that before. That's completely understandable. Because unlike traditional dairy milk, flax milk isn't something that most people grew up drinking. It wasn't sitting on the kitchen table when you were a child. It probably wasn't part of your family's breakfast routine. Yet despite being less familiar, unsweetened flax milk may be one of the most interesting options for people who are paying closer attention to kidney health. And here's why. The first two options we discussed primarily stand out because they may reduce the workload placed on aging kidneys. They are often lower in phosphorus, often lower in potassium, often lower in sodium. Those are important advantages. But flax milk brings something extra to the table, something that goes beyond simply reducing burden. It may also help support some of the systems that work closely alongside the kidneys every single day. To understand this, we need to remember something important. Your kidneys do not work alone. Nothing in the body works alone. The heart affects the kidneys. The blood vessels affect the kidneys. Inflammation affects the kidneys. Blood pressure affects the kidneys. Blood sugar affects the kidneys. Everything is connected. Imagine a neighborhood where every house depends on the same roads, the same power lines, and the same water supply. If one part of the system begins struggling, eventually the other parts feel the effects as well. Your body operates in a very similar way. And this is where flax milk becomes particularly interesting. Flax milk is often made from flaxseed, which naturally contains alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Now, omega-3 fatty acids have received attention for many years because of their relationship to heart, health, and overall wellness. They are often discussed in conversations about healthy aging, circulation, and inflammation. That doesn't mean flax milk is a miracle product, and it certainly doesn't mean it can cure kidney disease. Nothing in this video should be interpreted that way. But when we think about supporting the body as a whole, foods and beverages that contribute to an overall healthy lifestyle deserve attention. One of my patients, Susan, taught me a valuable lesson about this. Susan was in her late 60s when her doctor first mentioned early kidney concerns. She immediately wanted a list of foods she should never eat again. She wanted strict rules. She wanted a quick fix, but health rarely works that way. Instead, we focused on small adjustments, reading labels more carefully, reducing excess sodium, paying attention to added sugars, making better beverage choices. Nothing dramatic, nothing extreme. Just small improvements repeated consistently. Several months later, Susan told me something that has stayed with me ever since. She said, "I finally realized that taking care of my kidneys wasn't about finding one perfect food. It was about making hundreds of better decisions. And that may be the most important lesson in today's video. Because flax milk isn't valuable because it's magical. It's valuable because it may fit into a pattern of healthier choices. When it comes to phosphorus, many unsweetened flax milk products are naturally very low. When it comes to potassium, they are often lower than traditional dairy milk. When it comes to sodium, many varieties are also relatively low, especially when you choose products with simple ingredient lists. For someone trying to reduce unnecessary strain on aging kidneys, those characteristics can be very appealing. There is another reason many people like flax milk. It is often very low in calories and naturally free of cholesterol. Again, that doesn't automatically make it right for everyone. But for individuals who are paying attention to cardiovascular health, weight management, and overall wellness, it may offer additional advantages. Now I need to pause here and mention something very important. If you are currently receiving dialysis treatment, your nutritional needs may be very different from someone who is managing early-stage kidney concerns. Many dialysis patients actually require higher protein intake based on medical guidance. That is why personalized advice from your healthcare team is always essential. What works for one person may not be appropriate for another. And that brings us to the biggest trap associated with flax milk. Just like cashew milk, just like rice milk, not every carton is created equal. Some products contain added sugars. Others contain phosphate additives designed to improve nutrition labels and marketing claims. This is why I keep repeating the same advice throughout this video. Turn the carton around, read the ingredients. Don't be impressed by the promises on the front. Look at what's actually inside. The simpler the ingredient list, the better. Because when it comes to protecting aging kidneys, simple choices are often the smartest choices. And now that we've covered all three milk options, there's one final thing I want to share with you, because knowing which milk to choose is only part of the picture. The real question is what you do with that information starting tomorrow morning. Now that we've talked about the three milk options that may be gentler on aging kidneys, I want to leave you with something practical, because information only becomes valuable when we actually use it. And sometimes the biggest improvements in health don't come from dramatic changes. They come from small decisions repeated consistently. So I'd like to give you a simple challenge. Not for the next year, not for the next month, just for the next 7 days, that's all. 7 days to pay a little more attention to your kidneys. 7 days to become more aware of what your body may be trying to tell you. Tomorrow morning, before you automatically reach for the same carton you've been buying for years, pause for a moment, pick it up, turn it around, and read the ingredient list. Not the marketing claims on the front, not the colorful promises, the actual ingredients. You might be surprised by what you find. If your doctor has not given you specific dietary restrictions, consider trying one of the milk options we discussed today. Unsweetened cashew milk, unsweetened rice milk, or unsweetened flax milk. You don't need to make a huge announcement about it. You don't need to completely change your life overnight. Just make one small adjustment and see how it feels. For breakfast, try keeping things simple. Many people unknowingly begin their day with a combination of foods that place extra strain on the body. Sugary pastries, processed breakfast meats, packaged foods loaded with sodium. These choices may taste comforting in the moment, but over time they can make blood pressure, blood sugar, and kidney health more difficult to manage. Instead, think about giving your body a calmer start to the day. A balanced breakfast, less sodium, less added sugar, more awareness. Then move through the rest of your day with the same mindset. At lunch, take a quick look at your plate before you begin eating. Not to judge yourself, not to count every calorie, simply to become aware. Ask yourself a simple question. Does this meal support the health goals I'm trying to achieve? Sometimes that one question can change everything. For dinner, consider making things a little lighter than usual. Many people unknowingly ask their bodies to work overtime during the evening. Large portions, heavy sauces, very salty foods, late-night snacks. Then they wonder why they wake up thirsty, uncomfortable, or restless during the night. Your kidneys work 24 hours a day. They never clock out. And sometimes one of the kindest things you can do for them is avoid giving them an unnecessary night shift. But there is one more thing I'd like you to do during these next 7 days. Start paying attention to how you feel. Write it down if you can. Nothing complicated. Just a few simple notes. Did your feet feel swollen today? Did you wake up several times during the night? How was your energy level? How was your blood pressure? Did you feel unusually thirsty? Did something feel better than last week? The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness, because many people spend years guessing about their health. But your body is constantly providing information if you're willing to listen. And perhaps the most important thing I want you to remember is this. Taking care of your kidneys is not about fear. It is not about depriving yourself. It is not about chasing perfection. It is about showing your body a little more kindness than you did yesterday. One better choice, one better habit, one better day at a time. And over the years, those small choices can become something much bigger than you ever imagined. Before we finish today, I want to leave you with one final thought. Something that I hope stays with you long after this video ends. You see, Getting older is something none of us can stop. The years pass, our hair changes, our energy changes, our bodies change. That is simply part of life. But growing older does not mean giving up on your health, and it certainly does not mean accepting every health problem as unavoidable. Over the course of nearly 14 years working with older adults, I've learned something important. The people who tend to do best are not always the ones with perfect genetics. They are not always the ones who have never faced illness. And they are not always the ones with the most complicated health routines. More often than not, they are the people who stay engaged, the people who keep learning, the people who continue making small adjustments when their body asks for help, the people who understand that health is not built in a single day. It is built through thousands of small decisions made over time. And that brings us back to the simple glass of milk we talked about today. At first, it may seem insignificant, just a drink, just another item in the grocery cart, just another part of the morning routine. But when something becomes part of your life every single day, it matters. A small choice repeated once may not change much. A small choice repeated for months and years can shape the future in ways we often fail to notice. Maybe after watching this video, you'll decide to read labels more carefully. Maybe you'll choose a different milk the next time you visit the store. Maybe you'll start paying closer attention to your blood pressure, your energy levels, or the signals your body has been trying to send you. If that happens, then this conversation was worth having. Because protecting your kidneys isn't really about milk, it's about awareness. It's about respect for the body that has carried you through every chapter of your life. Through work, through family, through challenges, through heartbreak, through victories, through decades of memories that helped make you who you are today. Your body has worked hard for you, and now, perhaps it's time to return the favor. One thoughtful decision at a time, one healthier habit at a time, one day at a time. If you found today's discussion helpful, please take a moment to like this video. It helps more people discover information that may support their health journey. And if you have a friend, spouse, sibling, parent, or loved one who is keeping an eye on their creatinine levels, kidney health, blood pressure, or diabetes, consider sharing this video with them as well. You never know when one simple piece of information may help someone make a better decision for their future. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to Health with Dr. D. Miller for more practical, easy-to-understand health guidance designed especially for adults who want to age with strength, confidence, and knowledge. Thank you for spending these moments with me today. Take good care of yourself. Be patient with your body. Be kind to yourself. And remember, you don't have to become perfect tomorrow. You only need to make one better choice than you made yesterday. I'm Dr. D. Miller, wishing you health, peace, and many good years ahead, and I'll see you in the next video.